Alright, welcome to the final fight of this run, and since it is 20 minutes long, I decided to do some commentary here. If you don't like that, just ignore this video. I'm gonna upload a silent version later. If you need something to fill the next 20 minutes aside from, the actual fight, be my guest. Okay, I'm first gonna talk a little bit about the fight itself, maybe a little bit more about the run later on, and maybe also some more about Super Mario RPG's remake and the whole RPG situation, or Mario RPG situation rather, on Switch in general, because the fights themselves really aren't all that interesting to fill 20 minutes. Okay, Smithy is a very annoying boss, even though he just has 4 attacks. You can see a physical attack here, which can be perfectly blocked, and while it is a little bit awkward to time at first, it is definitely manageable. He has Fire Saber, a spell, a single target spell, which you can also perfectly guard against, no problem. And then he has 2 moves, one of which you have already seen. It's called Sledge, which targets the entire party and thus can't be blocked. It does moderately high damage, but manageable damage. You can see it right here, there it is. And he has another one, a party-wide spell, Meteor Swarm, which is an absolute killer in this fight. And why is it a killer? Well, on the one hand, it does massive damage, and I actually need to use Geno Boost in all my party members. You can see it right here. They're all boosted, and now they barely survive it. And by barely, I mean more than half of the HP values are gone. And this is a problem because Smithy on his own wouldn't be a problem, but you can see that the smelter right here produces minions every 2 turns. And these guys can be a serious pain in the ass. If they just use their physical attack, which they have done so far, they haven't used their spell. This is not a problem. But they also have a spell called Sword Rain, which even when you're boosted by Geno Boost, is enough to basically finish you off if Smithy has used Meteor Swarm before. And while Meteor Swarm is not necessarily a spell that's gonna happen too often, well, he has already used it twice in not even 3 minutes in this fight, you're pretty much up to luck here, to RNG, if you want to make it through this fight without any deaths. Because if this minion right now uses Sword Rain, which he conveniently does, I have exactly Geno, the only person to do something before Smithy acts again. And if Smithy were to use Meteor Swarm right now, I would be screwed. There is no way to avoid this other than using the super attack, which protects your whole party, the triple move. And this is basically a constant threat in the entire fight, because the only way you can avoid minions from spawning is by destroying the smelter. But the smelter is almost as sturdy as Smithy and takes a long while to take down, and this is really not an option in a fight where I need all my flower points to make it through to the end without any items. And I also did not want to prolong this fight anymore. I mean, 20 minutes, come on, that's way too much on its own already. Okay, and you can see that you have some measures to do something against Meteor Swarm and Sword Rain, at least the combination of the two. Because since Geno acts in between the 2 turns of the minions, the Shiper and and Smithy himself, you can actually try to block Meteor Swarm and let Peach heal you, so you actually can survive the combo this way. But this, of course, only works once in a couple of turns, because you need to basically refill the whole triple gauge. And if Smithy decides to use Meteor Swarm and the Shiper decides to use Sword Rain too often in tandem, then this is just also not going to be a foolproof way of making it through this fight. You can see once against Sword Rain, there we go. And I can't do anything here with Geno to protect me from a potential Meteor Swarm. But luckily enough, it's Sledge, so we survive here. But aside from that, you can actually do some more to protect you from this deadly combination of spells, because Smithy has a couple of rules that he abides by. The first one is that he always starts the fight with Sledge, and this basically gives you some time to be sure what the first few turns of the fight are going to look like. It gives you the chance to actually Geno boost at least Mario, and then hopefully the other characters. So it's always going to be Sledge for the first attack, for Smithy's first attack. And the other rule is that Smithy pretty much never uses the same move twice. So if Smithy uses Meteor Swarm at any given point in the battle, you can be sure that he is not going to use it the next round. So you can use that to your advantage to strategically use your triple move. So for example, right here he's using Meteor Swarm, which of course does quite a lot of damage, and you can be sure he's not going to use it the next round. And since you can see the Smelter is producing another Shiper right here, who could potentially use Sword Rain. We'll need to see if it actually does. Let's see. Yep, it does. So if I had my triple move right here, which I don't right now, I wouldn't have used it either way, because see, he's not going to use Meteor Swarm again. He's always going to choose another attack. So there is absolutely no chance that I would have been encountering a Meteor Swarm right here. Now, though, there is a chance, because of course he used Sledge before, so that's why I'm using the triple move right here to protect myself from a potential Meteor Swarm, which is not going to happen. But this is a way in which you can actually counter this RNG-infested mess of a first phase here, because that is really the only challenge here. There is not a lot of skill involved, really. You just need to be able to block the physical hammer attack, which, as I said, can be a bit tricky at the beginning, and Fire Saber, which is a pain in the ass because it has a weird timing, weird animation that can basically make you stumble. But aside from those two moves and the Shiper's jump, which can also be blocked, which is a non-issue, but aside from those things, there isn't really any difficulty here, and you just need to focus on, well, keeping track of which moves Smithy has used, keeping an eye out for a Meteor Swarm, keeping an eye out for, you know, when you should use your triple move or not, and that's pretty much it. But the fact that you need so long to take down Smithy is really, really aggravating, because the challenge when it comes to blocking attacks really just comes in the second phase, and you can see it's already going on for almost 8 minutes here, and this is, or at least for me, it was definitely draining my focus and my attention span. But you need that to actually successfully block all the other stuff that is coming in the second phase. It's not terribly much, and it's not terribly difficult, but as I've said, if you spend 10 minutes on, well, what you're just seeing right here in front of you, you will definitely not be as focused as you were at the beginning of the battle. Okay, so maybe I'll lose a few words on the run itself. Despite what I've just told you, Smithy actually was not the most difficult fight for me, but the most difficult one was actually Axer, because that guy, or it, technically, I guess it's a sword, it has so many spells. I think it's the right eye that has so many different single target spells, and actually the nastiest one is in the entire game, like Diamond Saw, once again Fire Saber, and some other ones. And they are so numerous that you really can't be too sure about what's gonna come next. Not like, you know, with Smithy here, where you know, okay, it's either gonna be a party-wide spell, which, you know, doesn't do anything, or a physical attack or Fire Saber, that's it. But with Axer's right eye, you never know. It could be Bolt, it could be Diamond Saw, it could be, I think, Flamestone is another one that he has, so that was really difficult to pull off, because the timing for these spells is really, really difficult to nail due to the animations. I mean, if you see Diamond Saw, you know that, or if you know the animation, you know that the actual animation goes off screen for a while, so you need to really not just have a look at the animation itself, but you also need to be wary of the sound effects to know when exactly you need to press the button to block it perfectly. And yeah, the fight is also very long, and the eye always regenerates, so you can't really do much other than really keep attacking it, so you don't need to block too many of those spells. Okay, and Axer, aside from that, is Also difficult because it has this Carney Kiss move that you may have seen in tandem with another physical move that basically is not too difficult to dodge or to block, but in tandem with Carney Kiss, which is so fast, comes out so fast, you really always need to have an eye out for it. You always need to kind of keep observing the top right of the corner, top right corner of the screen, so you can actually react to it and see it coming. Okay, getting back to the actual fight again. The first phase is over, as you can see, and it has taken me over 10 minutes to do this in this take. So, yeah, the second phase is also kind of relying on RNG because, you know, Smithy has his 4 forms, and depending on which form he chooses, you'll either have a very good time with him or a rather complicated or bad time. So I'll comment on the forms as they come, but maybe a couple of words on the overall setup of this fight. So Smithy himself is the actual enemy here. He's the only one, but he basically has 2 parts. He has his head, which is going to switch form very soon, right here, and he has his body that can also attack independently from the head. And it's usually best to just keep attacking the head because that's the one that, you know, needs to go down for the fight to end, and the body is basically just collateral damage. I mean, you can attack it if you want to get rid of the 2 physical attacks it has, the bullets that you've just seen, as well as the hammer attack from the first phase, but it really, in my opinion, isn't worth doing that if you want to end the fight quickly because the head really takes so much damage, so many hits, that you really want to, you know, just finish the fight as quickly as possible. Okay, so you've just seen the tank form. I'm gonna say something once we see this again. It's one of the less problematic ones, a desirable one, and now you're seeing the magician form, which is also a form that you really want to see because even Peach, as you have just seen, has just done over 200 points of damage, Mario over 300, so this means that you really want this form to be there so it can take as much damage as possible. It's actually the form that is most susceptible to physical damage, and this is what you want to be going for in this fight, because as you can see, I have less than 50 flower points by now, which I need for those party-wide attacks that the magician form can actually perform. So, yeah, you really want to just use physical attacks and healing moves for the most part in this fight. And, yeah, the magician form only has 1 attack that needs to be blocked, and you can see it right here. It's Dark Star, and it's so telegraphed that it's actually way too easy to block, so this is a non-issue here. Okay, now Smithy is changing forms again. Let's see which one he comes up with next. Okay, it's the Casket. So this is one of the less desirable forms because it has a lot of defense, and it's just really there to make the fight longer and annoy you, because soon you will see why that is. What I have done here is, as an exception, I have attacked the body actually instead of the head, because that means that the head is not going to perform any attacks for a while. And now, yeah, you have seen Shredder right here. Shredder basically removes any buffs that you have, so I need to use Geno Boost again on every single character, because once the magician form kicks in, you need to have that defense boost up again, because it has so many moves that can just one-shot at least one party member, if not all, and you really need to be prepared for that. Yeah, and the Casket form can of course also heal itself and sometimes the body if it's still active. So that's annoying. That's why I'm saying, or why I have said it's actually making the fight longer, so you really don't want Smithy to do this, but you can't do anything about it. You just have to deal with it and hope that he doesn't use Shredder twice per Casket form. One upside of the body being alive during the Casket form is that if you attack the head and do some collateral damage on the body, the head will sometimes not heal itself, as you can see here. I think it has just healed the body instead, so that's something that you want to actually be provoking. Okay, now another form change. Let's see. Okay, now it's the tank form. So the tank form really only does physical attacks. It's those bullet bills, or just giant bullets, whatever they are, which are, well, not too difficult to block if you see them coming, but sometimes they can throw you off guard. The tank form also has this Magnum move, which is more or less the same thing. I mean, it can kill you in one hit or reduce your HP to 1 if you are not blocking perfectly, but kind of well. But other than that, the tank form really doesn't do much. It has higher defenses than the magician form, but with it only having physical attacks, you also don't need to spend any flower points on healing, so that's also good. But the most dangerous thing, in my opinion, that can happen in this run setting with this boss is actually the body using the machine gun attack, this one. Because technically, it's not too difficult to avoid, but the timing is still kind of weird because you have to press the button when the attack still is not completely gone. So it's not like the last hit of the bullet is reaching a character. That's not, I think, the moment you have to press the button, but it's kind of before that. I can really describe it well, but it has a weird timing that can throw you off and has thrown me off so many times. So that's actually the most difficult move in my opinion, and the problem is the body is always there. I mean, you can of course attack it and sometimes get rid of it, but that is also time that you're not, spending on attacking the head. So aside from the casket form, I usually do not attack the body, even though it has this rather dangerous attack. Okay, so we're back to the casket, and you will see me do something that you might not expect once we switch forms again, or once the body is up again. But now first I of course have to use Geno Boost again, so we can survive any of the party attacks that the magician form might pull off. And why I'm using the triple move here actually has a very, in my opinion, interesting reason, because you might think, why am I doing this right now? The casket can't even attack on its own, and why am I using this triple move right here? It does not fulfill any purpose. And you may be right, aside from blocking any damage at least once, there is no real reason here, or at least no in-game reason. But what it does is actually fulfill a rather psychological purpose, because remember, the first phase is very long and has drained my attention, my focus quite a lot by now, and now we're over 18 minutes into the fight, which means I'm kind of tired already, at least a little bit more tired, so that I'm more likely to not dodge or block something perfectly, especially as I've said, the machine gun move. But by putting up this shield, I know that even if I slip up, I won't take any damage. Now you might say, of course, this is cheating because I'm not blocking the attack, and you would be right. But if you take a close look, the game actually knows or registers if you have actually blocked the move correctly, even if the shield is up or if you messed up. Because if you did not block any attack correctly, the damage number is going to be yellow instead of white. If you have taken a look at Geno right here, you'll have seen that the attack did 0 damage and the number was white, which means yes, you blocked it perfectly. But had I not blocked it perfectly, it would have been displayed in yellow. So, ironically, in this fight, this move, the triple move, did not really give me any easy way out. It did not rescue me from, a mistake I've made. But despite that, I think it still is very useful because it kind of eases your mind, or at least it eased my mind, because I knew I could rest easy for at least a couple of turns every now and then, and that was enough to basically made me win the fight, which is, as I've said, I find it very, very interesting, because you can see how psychology and the state of your mind plays into the victory right here. And yeah, that's it. Smithy is done, and so is this run. And thank you for watching if you've made it until the end. And actually I was planning to record quite more commentary for different fights, but I wanted to see how well the run does and if there is any interest from the viewers in that. So if you want to see more commentary on other fights, just leave me a comment, tell me what you want to see in which fight, or maybe I can bundle up something and then I can upload an additional second version with commentary for those respective fights, or, as I said, the respective bundle of fights. Okay, so once again, thank you very much and have a nice day.